Hey guys, Erik Kaiser, Remax TerraSol, your probate and trust real estate specialist. And I just want to share something real quick with you. A couple things that I do and a few things that you might want to be informed about for either yourself or your client selling a probate or trust home that needs a lot of work, but you plan to entertain offers selling as is. As you can see here, what I do is I create what's called an investor analysis report. That way we can provide that if needed to the investors to help negotiate their profit margin. So there's a couple different ways that we can do it to make sure we're looking out for the estate's best interest. I have a crew that I use in the county. And what that means is I have my own contractors that I use that I get special discount pricing on. So that just helps us negotiate the profit margins a little bit, because if you're dealing with an investor that does not have their own crew, obviously their profit margins are going to be a little different because they have to hire people kind of like a first time basis where they're not going to get the best rates. So there's a couple different avenues that we leverage in working with investors. Because everyone knows when you're working with investors on cash deals, the gloves come off. They're trying to take advantage of the estate, trying to get the best deal. My job is basically to protect the estate's interest and trying to save them and make them the most money possible on the deal. So it just kind of depends. Who they have helping them, if they've done it before, if they meaning that have they bought and flipped a property before buying it as is. So a couple things I want to share with you. This particular property is a probate sale that I sold in San Diego County in Spring Valley, actually. And I want to share with you a couple things, what I've created. So this investor analysis report, here's just a couple pages of it. But this is what I put together for the client, so we know exactly what the costs are going to be before we go into any negotiations. And I put this together probably about a month before we entertained our offers. So what's interesting is knowing all of these numbers. And with my background being a former certified AR appraiser, I've got a really good eye for the marketplace. It doesn't matter where the property is located. Being a former appraiser, you have eyes that you can see things differently than a typical agent or realtor would. You can see the biggest thing is this ARV, this after repair value. That's going to be really important to understand, because that value is after all of the rehab has been done to the property. What is this property going to command in the open marketplace that we could possibly tell based on closed comparable sales, based on those the condition. So I go into factoring in all sorts of costs, holding costs, things like that, for an investor, what we think they are going to calculate for their profit margins. So as you can see on this particular property, the flip profit was about $43,500 based on what I have. Now, that amount could be different depending on if this particular investor has a crew that he needs to keep fed, he needs to keep them working. It just kind of depends on what their cost to rehab is with their people. Okay, so that's just kind of what we do and how we go about the negotiations and working with investors to make sure that we're making a smart decision for the estate. The investor wants to make their profit margins, of course, otherwise they're not going to do the deal. But, gone are the days where you watch the home and garden show where, all the people are flipping these houses making $150,000. My job is to hopefully stop that from happening to the estate. So, my goal is to put that money back into the estate as opposed to giving it to an investor. So my job, again, is to grind them on their profit margins. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And as you'll see, the Redfin information right here, you can see that the home sold for $755,000. And so I wasn't too far off. I was about 5,000 off, but that's not much considering what we're looking at. So I was able to give the clients an accurate picture of realistic expectations as far as making this work out. Also, it's accountability on the back end, right? So if there's multiple beneficiaries, which in this case there were, it keeps them informed of why you're selling at a certain price, because everyone knows that the market's still a little bit crazy and that the prices are going up still. So this just holds everyone accountable. It makes sure that no one gets upset at the executor, the administrator of, for example, a probate, in having, maybe a cousin that's a beneficiary saying, well, why did you sell so low? So being accountable to the estate is another reason why, if you want to work with an agent like myself, it's really important to make sure that you cover all angles, and you know what you're doing, and you know about the accountability, because selling the property is one thing, but being accountable is something completely different. So that's a little bit about what I do, just in a quick review. If you want to learn more about how I can assist you, either negotiate a cash as is sale, or go in and we rehab the property, we fix it up. I provide my own funds for the property, for the estate, so that way they don't have to come out of pocket. We'll rehab, fix up the property, and we can target that retail buyer for market value. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, feel free to visit my website, protecttheestate.com, and that'll show you a little bit about what I do, and kind of the situations I've been in, and how I could possibly help. So feel free to share this video or share my website, protecttheestate.com, with anyone you feel or that may need to sell a probate trust property or a vacant property or any kind of property that needs to be fixed up. I'm also very well versed in multi-units, 1 to 4 units and even above, understanding capitalization rates and things of that nature. That goes in line with the my former certified residential appraisal license status. We were taught all about that. So, if you're selling income property, it's really important to look at it and, understanding any upside potential of that property, cap rates, what are people looking for, what can you do to the property to make sure it's a little bit more valuable. So if you're in a situation such as that as well, selling a multi-unit property, feel free to reach out to me. I am experienced in that avenue as well as for real estate sales. Again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and hopefully I've done my job in earning the right to work with you or be referred by you. And hopefully you all have a great 2022. Thanks for watching. Take care.